Hi there, it's Rachel Airing, host of the Top Music Piano podcast, and I'm just popping in to give a very special invitation to those of you living in Southern California. I'll be hosting an in-person coffee meetup for Top Music members and listeners of the podcast. We will be meeting at a coffee shop in Irvine, California on Friday, June 19th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is a chance for you to meet other Top Music piano teachers and connect in person over coffee and I'm sure great conversations. You do not have to be a Top Music Pro member to join us, but if you are, coffee is on us. So if you live in Orange County, be sure to go to topmusic.co/local to RSVP, and I hope to see you there.
And I think the other thing that really helped me hugely when it came time to do the portfolio, which I didn't mention, but at the end of the course, you submit a digital portfolio of your learning. We were given right at the start of the course a flipped learning document, which basically is this just Bible of, references for everything that was going to be covered. And in all honesty, I kind of knew it was there and I knew it was going to be really helpful, but I didn't really have the time to use it until I had to. And then when I was doing my portfolio, I was like, oh my God, yeah, we've got this document. And it was invaluable.
You're listening to The Topcast, the original podcast for growth-minded instrumental music and voice teachers since 2015, with your host, Tim Topham. Our mission at Top Music is to empower instrumental music and voice teachers to find and nurture their innate creativity so that they can teach lessons that are innovative, integrated, and inspiring, and that will have a positive, lifelong impact on their students. Join us each week as we interview teachers and creators from around the world and unpack fun and exciting ideas to maximize your teaching and studio business success. Hello and welcome to the Topcast, the world's biggest and longest running podcast for music teachers. Every week we chase the smartest, most creative ways to teach brilliantly, build a studio that provides for the life that you want to live and that allows you to enjoy every minute along the way. I'm Tim Topham, and whether you teach piano, bongos, guitar, or anything in between, you're in good company. So let's dive into today's episode. As I mentioned last week, this month at Top Music is all about studio transformations. This is the chance where we get to talk all about business, but also about the lifestyle that you want, the vision that you have, and how to make it all a reality. Today, I'm honoured to be speaking to Jill King, a recent graduate of our 12-week studio transformation program and also an attendee at Top Music Live. In today's episode, we're going to unpack where Jill was before she joined us and where she's got to now, how her life has changed, what she's been up to, and the kinds of studio and teaching that she's doing. Now, in this episode, you're going to be hearing about a number of really interesting ideas that Jill just touches on, things like micro goals in curriculum planning, various ideas about method books, how to have conversations with parents that can be a bit difficult, teaching advanced students when you're a little bit wobbly and not too sure about it. It's just about confidence, about buddy lessons, setting up studio software, automated tuition, all of these kinds of things. Oh, and studio policies, big on the studio policies. I want to just mention up front that at the end of the discussion, I'll be talking to you directly about how you can enjoy some of the changes that Jill has experienced through our 12-week studio transformation program, because we have just opened up our applications for our July 2026 cohort. So if, as she's speaking, you're like, oh, how does that work? What is that? Oh, I've never heard of that. What is it? We can answer all those questions by sharing with you a little bit about our 12-week studio transformation program. I'll do that after we speak to Jill. Today's guest, Jill King, trained as a K-12 classroom music teacher and spent more than 25 years working in schools. A change in family circumstances prompted Jill to seek greater flexibility and sparked an important question: could private piano teaching become her primary profession? Drawing on the support, inspiration, and practical strategies she found through the Top Music community, she successfully made that transition. We'll hear about it today. Now, Jill works as an on-site piano teacher at a Sydney school and has expanded her home studio to include online students as well. She's passionate about helping students develop confidence, creativity, and a lifelong love of music, and is proud to say that piano teaching is now her full-time career. Welcome to the show, Jill King. Welcome to the show, Jill King. It's great to connect with you again.
Thanks so much, Tim. Great to be here.
So you recently completed our 12-week studio transformation program, which we run twice a year. And so I thought it'd be great to have a quick chat today about your experience. But before that, we had a more recent experience together, which was Top Music Live in Sydney. So tell me, how did you find Top Music Live? What do you think?
Oh, it was fantastic. Honestly, I just came away with so many brilliant ideas. In fact, some of them, as with a lot of top music things, you learn so much and then you kind of have to categorize it and just go, okay, this is what I'm going to do now. And these are all these treasures that I will implement at some point in the future when I can get my mind around them. So,
so you don't get overwhelmed, right?
So I still have a pile on my desk in my office of all the things I'd like to do that I'm sort of working through gradually. But it was awesome to, meet all these people in the community that I've only seen online, and such a massive variety of presenters as well. Like, there really was something for everyone.
I think just being in the room with everybody, the buzz and the vibe is just so much fun. I just love that aspect of it. Do you reckon, I know this is a hard question, do you reckon you could narrow it down to one highlight, either something that happened at the event or something that you'll take away for your teaching? I know it's probably going to be challenging. But...
Okay, so when I'm talking highlights, like, everything was fabulous, but I'll pick the things that I've been able to use straight away. I guess that were most relevant for me where I am at the moment. Definitely Samantha Coates' presentation on brain breaks. Mm-hmm. And I went up to the Optimum percussion stall and I bought lots of little gizmos, and I have a lot of younger students, and that's been awesome, but the high schoolers love it too. And it's just kept things so much more lively in my lessons. And I loved Beck's presentations on collaborative music making, because I'm trained as a classroom music teacher, so it's all stuff that I've been doing for years in the classroom, but I just kind of, I guess, needed permission to do it in my private studio, and to see that, that stuff translates amazingly. So I've been doing that a lot too, and feeling justified. Like, I work in a school situation, so when there are events on at the school, I often need to reschedule students to fit around those. And there are weeks when there's a sports carnival and you just can't give everyone their individual lesson. And I now actually feel completely justified putting two kids together and telling the parents that they're getting this fantastic, really valuable educational experience, and we're doing things that we don't normally get to do in one-on-one lessons. Whereas I used to kind of almost apologize for it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And now I'm like, no, this is awesome. They're learning so much stuff here.
It's actually almost better in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing those thoughts. And if you're interested, of course, in some of the presentations that we had at Top Music Live, you can get the on-demand pass, topmusic.co/on-demand. And I will let everybody who's listening and watching be the first to know, including you, Jill, that I am looking to plan a September 2027 event in Sydney again. And then do it every 2 years.
Sydney people are lucky, my God.
Well, I just love going to Sydney. I can't help it. And I know that with a little bit more notice and somewhere like Sydney, we can get some more people over from places like the United States as well, which would be very cool. So I've already started some communications with some very cool people over there. So stand by, everybody, for more details. Anyway, we are actually here to talk about the 12-week Studio Transformation program. So I think it'd be great, Jill, if you're able to share just a little bit about your teaching background prior to the program, and just, let us know where you are, what you do.
Yep. So I mentioned before, I trained as a classroom music teacher, K-12, and I did that for a very long time. So private teaching was always just kind of a thing on the side for a little bit of extra income. At various times in my career, I haven't been full-time, so I've sort of gone, I'll do one afternoon of private teaching. And then always really enjoyed it. In recent years, for family reasons, I've needed a lot more flexibility with my hours. I needed to not be marking assignments until midnight and not going to parent-teacher meetings and staff meetings and all of the joys
as much
that
as you
come
love
with
doing all those things, I'm sure.
yeah, all the benefits that come with being a classroom teacher. I needed to not be doing that anymore. And so I started to think, well, if piano teaching was my main gig, then I could design a life where I had that flexibility that I needed for my family. But I knew that I needed to get better at some things, particularly the business side of things. And probably almost, I just felt a bit stale because it had always just been my side gig. So I hadn't had the time to really invest in being an awesome piano teacher.
Mm.
I was a reasonable one, but, I got the job done. My kids were happy to come to lessons, but there weren't many fireworks happening. Really.
So it was okay, but you knew you could do better and you wanted to do better. And you said, I think perhaps you're feeling a bit flat or stale or whatever it was. What do you think, what was working and what wasn't working at that point before you joined the studio transformation? So looking towards last year. And what were some of your frustrations?
Yeah, so that in terms of things that were working, because I've always been connected to a school, I've never really had to think much about marketing because I've kind of had this audience that know me. And so I just kind of drifted along. I didn't really have an online presence because I didn't need it. I had enough students just that knew me from the local area. I didn't, I didn't have a website. I didn't have any of that sort of stuff. I'm a very organized person naturally. So in terms of, sending invoices out and I was very good at it, but not very efficient at all. Like it took up a lot of time. So again, I got the job done, but in a rather archaic way, probably.
Both the teaching and the business potentially here.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, good thing was I feel like I connect with my students well. I think I'm a reasonably fun teacher. I'm quite creative, probably because of my classroom training. I was quite good at integrating and pulling things in from lots of different areas. So a lot of the pillars of top music education, so using lots of questions, being creative, being child-centered, integrating the learning, they really resonated with me because it's what I've done in the classroom. But I wasn't doing it efficiently and I wasn't doing it as well as I could in the private studio situation. And certainly the business side of things was not as efficient as it needed to be.
I have only just realised that our stories aren't that dissimilar, in fact, because I started as a classroom teacher, 20 years or thereabouts of classroom teaching in a variety of subjects, and then started the piano.
Yeah.
And also started with, I taught how I was taught, pretty much, same method. And it was archaic in some ways. I mean, I was always fairly creative. And of course, the genesis of the pop teaching and the jazz and all that kind of stuff was there. But there were certain elements, like teaching reading, I was pretty not original there. So I totally understand that feeling. And you get to the point where it's like, there's got to be better ways to do this. And that looks like what drew you to explore the program. So I'm interested to know, what kind of things were you hoping to achieve and what did bring you into looking at the 12-week studio transformation?
So I kind of stumbled across top music in a crisis of confidence, really. I'm the on-site piano teacher in a Sydney private school now. So I'm still connected to a school, but just piano teaching. And I came into this job at the start of last year, so I inherited all my students. So I turned up and I had 30 students that I didn't know. And I know we talk about, what do you do when you get one transfer student? Well, in effect, I was the transfer, so I had 30. And 3 of them were preparing to do high-level AMEB exams, so grade 7 and grade 8. And so these were kids I didn't know, and I'd never put kids through exams at that level before. I've done a lot of getting kids through exams, but not, I think like grade 5 was the highest I'd taken kids through exams. I was absolutely terrified. I just felt so out of my depth. Not because, I have a degree, I did my AMAS, but it's, when you're a classroom teacher, you're not playing at that level yourself. It's a lot of vamping and sight reading and getting, accompanying kids.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not spending 2 hours a day practicing yourself.
Yeah, you're not stretching your own abilities.
No. So to have kids that were playing pieces that were harder than what I was playing every day terrified me. And I didn't feel like I knew enough about how to teach technique specifically at that level. So when they played their pieces and there were things they were struggling with, I didn't feel like I had the tools to help them. And I actually spent a couple of, it didn't take long actually. It was only about half an hour of highly panicked Googling one night. This is like, oh my God, what do I do with a grade 7 student, AMEB? And Top Music actually came up very quickly. And I sort of dived into the website and discovered straight away the course that was exactly what I needed, which at the time was, what do I do with advancing students?
That was our advancing students course from Williamson.
Yeah. So I literally started it that night and was just like, oh my God, thank God that this exists. And so once I was sort of I was in the community, I just saw how much amazing, like all these incredible resources that were like everything I'd felt imposter syndrome about, everything that I felt I didn't have the confidence to do, there was something in the community to help me with it. So when the 12-week transformation was advertised, I knew straight away that, okay, I want to do this.
That's a fit, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have hesitations before they join. I'm sure you probably did as well. What were some of them for you?
Probably, whether I was going to be good enough. So I kind of worried that, gosh, is everybody else doing this course some guru teacher? Also, how much work it was going to be, because I do have a fairly busy life. And I knew that I was doing the course to get better at what I was doing and more efficient, but you still have to have the time to do the work. So I had hesitations about the workload, but I am someone that loves a bit of a challenge. So I was excited about it, but nervous about how I'd manage it. My daughter's doing year 12 as well. And that's it's like a whole other job, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it worried me that I was going to be supporting her and how I'd manage that balance. And the cost was not that the cost is excessive at all. The cost is completely appropriate. But because I teach during term time, my finances are pretty tight in school holidays, especially the summer holidays. I don't have, I've got that sort of big time without much income coming in.
And that's when the cohort was running.
That's when the cohort was running. That's when I had to sort of put down the down payment. So they were probably my main hesitations.
Well, I guess the obvious question I have to ask you then was, did the program cover its investment?
Oh, absolutely. So just from a pure numbers point of view, I started the year with 35 students. I've now reached my target of 50. So that's paid it off in a month. There's also potential for a lot more, because doing the course taught me the skills and gave me the confidence to start teaching online. I have all these fancy gizmos behind me. And I'd really wanted to get into that market for a long time, because I have associations with a rural community, and I knew there was a big need for online piano teachers for those kids. But I didn't know where to start. I didn't know, what do I need to go out and buy, and what's it going to cost me? And I don't actually know how to do this. So yes, I already have 15 extra students, but potentially a lot more. Like, I've got a lot more on the wait list for online.
Amazing.
But the thing that you can't put a price on is how much more confident I am. I actually feel like I'm doing a real job. Whereas I kind of felt like I was just doing a pretend job before. And I've had people say to me, as I'm sure many piano teachers have, are you ever going to get a real job? And that had kind of stuck in my head. And I guess because I came from that world of being a classroom teacher where it was just so intense. There was a huge imposter syndrome and a huge it's not really a career. And that whole way of thinking is just completely turned around.
Amazing to hear. You're just babysitting or it's not a real job. It really gets under your skin, even if you know that you're doing a real job and know how important you feel it is and how important music is. It does niggle away, and I'm just delighted to know how, and just to have seen you in the last 6 months and at Top Music Live as well. It's just been remarkable. I would never have thought, knowing you now, that imposter syndrome was ever an issue for you, Jill, because of where you're at now. Huge congratulations to you for the extra students as well. That's just amazing. Now I understand how hard it was to create a time for our meeting today. You've got so much going on. So let's talk about the program a little bit. How would you describe it in your words, the program and how it works?
Yep. So obviously 12 weeks. And so for people that are wondering how it all works, you have a 1 hour Zoom meeting every week. And I know for our cohort, we were split in half based on time zones of where we were in the world. So for me, it was 7:30 on a Monday night. And then there were other people in America who were like the following morning. But that was kind of cool because I think there was one night where I couldn't actually make the Monday night and I could still jump into the other one. Not that it was a great time, but you could make it work. And you can watch the replays as well. So everything's recorded. So you always had that option if life completely got in the way and you couldn't be there one week. So in that hour, you work through the playbook. So this is the whole course. Everything you do in the course is based on what Top Music calls the Presto framework as you designed it. So for people watching, is that an anagram?
Acronym.
What it is? An acronym. Thank you. So P is pedagogy, R is repertoire, E educational journey, S is your studio setup, T is technique, and O is outreach and marketing kind of stuff. So each week we'd dive into a few of those. So you didn't just do a chunk. It was always you were looking at little bits of each, which was really cool because you'd go in a little bit deeper one week and then one week you'd just brush the surface and then you'd revisit it. So I guess it sort of kept them all alive in your mind at once. So you'd go through a lot of material in that hour, but the learning continued for the whole time because you get made part of an online forum with the members of your cohort and your presenters. And in that forum, we could post anything, any question, any comment about anything that had come up in discussion. And I think I learned as much from the forum as I did from the time in the 1 hour each week. Absolutely.
Yeah. The chats are pretty detailed.
Yeah. I mean, actually, most of what I learned with how to set up online teaching was the forum.
Yep.
So
and of course, the opportunity you have there is that other people can give their thoughts too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And then there is homework every week, but I really liked that it was divided into core homework and optional homework. Because I'm a bit of a conscientious, nerd, teacher's pet. So the core homework, I guess, realistically averaged an hour to 90 minutes for me each week. The optional tasks were always really good and I really tried to do them, but if life got in the way, then I didn't feel bad about it. It was like, okay, this week it didn't happen. I'll get to it when I can. And if I don't get to it, I'll just look at it in 3 months because it's in here anyway.
Yeah.
So, But so I found the workload actually quite manageable.
That's great. And of course, guided along the way by the facilitators too. So you never felt lost.
No, absolutely. And I hope I get a chance to say how absolutely incredible Beck and Donna were, just the most incredible teachers and mentors, and so warm and supportive and encouraging and authentic. completely authentic. Like you always felt that your input was valued and nothing was too silly to ask. Like, I asked a lot of questions and I always felt that was okay. Like, they were going to listen and they were going to be thoughtful, and if they couldn't answer straight away, it would pop up in the forum. Like, if it was something that needed to be researched, they'd go away and it would pop up in the forum in the next 24 hours. They're amazing.
Well, that's how you get the most out of doing any of these kinds of programs is, you ask questions, you get involved, you try and do what's required. And, you have reaped the rewards from doing that. I just want to mention too that idea you said about jumping in and out of things across the 12 weeks is a very conscientious decision we made. It's called a spiral learning framework. So rather than, okay, the first 3 weeks we're going to do marketing, the next 3 weeks we're doing technique, the next 3 weeks we're doing pedagogy, whatever it is, we don't do that. We dive in and out over the course of the 12 weeks. And what that does is strengthens your knowledge, both through retrieval, because you're working on things and you're thinking about things during the weeks between the cohorts. And it also just keeps things current and allows us to process, I guess, what we're learning as we go, rather than do something and then forget about it. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
And I think the other thing that really helped me hugely when it came time to do the portfolio, which I didn't mention, but at the end of the course, you submit a digital portfolio of your learning. We were given right at the start of the course a flipped learning document, which basically is this just Bible of, references for everything that was going to be covered. And in all honesty, I kind of knew it was there and I knew it was going to be really helpful, but I didn't really have the time to use it until I had to. And then when I was doing my portfolio, I was like, oh my God, yeah, we've got this document. And it was invaluable. For other people, they were probably referring to it all the way through. But for me, it was almost like my revision, and it just brought back everything we talked about, but all these other tangents that I hadn't had time to explore before, and then I could.
Yeah. What surprised you most about the program, if there was something?
I guess I was surprised by how much I still had to learn after doing this for 30 years. There was still so much that was new that I knew nothing about. But it wasn't a depressing discovery. It was an exciting discovery. So, sometimes when you realize how much you don't know, it's like, oh my goodness me. But no, this was exciting and refreshing and invigorating. It was like, gosh, there's just so much out there that I didn't know about that's developed since I started teaching. And also just how different everyone was in our cohort, but how much we could learn from each other.
And you had people from other parts of the world, probably?
Yeah. So because as I said, ours was split because of the time zones. So in mine, there was another lady in Australia who was probably similar background to me, a lady about my age in South London. And then we had a younger lady in Ireland, who's the best accent. And she was just setting up her first home studio. And I just felt so envious of her that she was learning all this awesome stuff at the start of her career. It was like, this stuff took me 30 years of trial and error to sort of stumble my way through, and you're getting it all now. I just thought, my God, you're going to have the best studio ever because you're starting out with all this incredible knowledge and expertise. So, yeah.
We've had people from Tel Aviv, India, Europe, America, obviously, New Zealand. It is a truly worldwide program. So, and it's wonderful because you do learn all sorts of unusual things sometimes from people who are doing it in other areas, and you can go, never thought of that. I might try that. So that's great that you enjoyed that connection with other people too. So let's move on and talk about what's changed. You've mentioned a few of the results so far, but can you describe, I guess, some of the most transformational improvements that you've been able to make in your business and perhaps in your teaching as well?
so I don't miss anything, I'm going to go through the letters, if that's okay. Because it trigger me, because there are definitely big things in each area. So pedagogy, I definitely ask more questions.
In your teaching, with your students?
In my teaching, yes. Yep. I'm really consciously, because I can be a bit of a blabbermouth. And I think I had a tendency to tell too much before. And so I'm trying to use a lot more, guide my students to discover it themselves. And there's a lot of, I don't know, let's try it. What do you think it would sound like? And what do you notice here? And so I'm consciously doing that more.
What do you notice in the students as a result of you doing that?
More engagement. And then you get those light bulb moments when they have figured it out for themselves. And it sticks. It actually sticks then. They're excited that they discovered it themselves. And I think, like, because as a school music teacher, I've always been comfortable teaching pop music and moving between pop and classical. That wasn't a scary thing for me, but I think I'm integrating a lot better now as well. So it's not like we're going to do your exam pieces and, let's do a pop piece for fun. I'm now merging them and, what's the same? Oh, there's that chord progression that got used in that song, and, a lot more of that. Yeah, helping them to find a lot more connections. So PR, repertoire. Oh my God, so much repertoire that I now use every day that I didn't know existed.
Now, that could also be overwhelming. So how did you avoid being overwhelmed?
Yeah, so method books. I was pretty stale on method books. So picked one that a lot of people in top music really like and tried it with one new student. So for me, that
Love
was
it. One idea, one student, one lesson. Yes.
Yeah. And because I had some new students starting this year, they didn't have any, prior. They didn't have experience with any other method books. So I tried it with the newbies. And then I found there were certain pieces that they loved and worked really well. So then I started just giving that piece to other kids. And here's a fun piece. Let's do this one. So yeah. And I'm aware of other method books. So I've gone into Supersonics as well and online, all that sort of stuff. But I'm just trying to focus on one and get to know it before I spread myself too thin. And rote reading repertoire by Sam Coates. Knew nothing about that. That really has been transformational. I use it all the time. Educational journey. I think more about my goals, but particularly the micro goals. And I'm sort of helping the kids to be aware of it. So we sort of are based on the idea of the 40-piece challenge, but I have a lot of little kids. So they get a mini certificate for each 5-piece challenge. So I've broken it down into the tiny little steps and we celebrate that. And then, the 5, and it ends up being about 40 pieces in a year, but we've celebrated the little steps along the way. And I also, which I'm very proud of, I have the confidence to have the difficult conversations with parents. I come from a demographic where a lot of parents want their kids to do exams. And I had always felt quite pressured that it was almost just assumed that, yes, they're going to do exams. Whereas now I feel like I've got the confidence to say, well, that, there are other ways to measure learning and maybe this isn't the right way for your child. And let's look at these other approaches. So I'm a lot braver to have those conversations.
Yeah, a little bit like the buddy lessons and knowing how to not sell these in a marketing-y way, but just sell the benefits, I guess, and talk to parents in a really open way about what is best for their child in your expert opinion. Yeah. Powerful.
Studio setup. Okay, so I've been introduced to lots of online tools to make my work more efficient. Like My Music Staff was a big favorite with a lot of people. I didn't swap over to it during my cohort because I was like halfway through a financial year. And I kind of had a system that was working okay, and I didn't want to change everything in the middle of a tax year. But again, I've learnt about all this stuff, and I will implement it soon on the changeover just to make it clean. So that's exciting because that will cut a lot of my admin time. Oh, and I have a fabulous studio policy that I'm so proud of. And things like all those difficult conversations about makeup lessons and all the stuff we dread talking about is beautifully set out in my policy. And I know that just having that has saved me from a lot of awkward conversations.
In fact, and you used our chatbot, didn't you? I remember you gave us some feedback about that. Yeah.
Yes, I made very good friends with the chatbot. It was so helpful.
So we've set up for those unsure what I mean. We've set up a chatbot like an AI, which understands all of our views about makeup lessons and studio policies. It's trained on all the best studio policies out there that we know of. And you can either dump in your current studio policies and ask for feedback and improvements, or you can get it to set up yours from scratch. So I think you already had some, Jill. You put yours in there. I had one, and said, help me improve things.
Yeah. So that's made my life a lot easier, having a great studio policy. What are we up to? Technique. Yeah, I talked about that already. I felt like I needed to learn a lot about technique at higher levels. But actually, I thought that was my issue, but I then found that there were a lot of gaps for better ways to teach technique to littlies as well.
Than
it all the way that I was taught. There's more fun ways to do it. So I learned a huge amount about that I use all the time now. And outreach, well, I've now got online students. I have designed a website with the chatbot as well. I have a complete marketing plan because one day I may need to move out of Sydney. So I actually have my marketing plan ready to go. When I move, boom, it's all set up. So yeah, it has been transformational.
That's really powerful, that last point as well, because when I speak to some studio owners about marketing and the importance of marketing and branding, some of them will say, oh, but I've got a long wait list. Oh, but I don't need any new students. So, and you're kind of in that category. Yes, you have grown by a number of students, but it sounds like you've actually been thinking about, well, what if things change? And this is what I try and encourage teachers to think about. What if someone gets sick? What if you have to move? What if you can't teach for a period of time? What happens to your marketing then? Is that where you were coming from as well?
Yeah. So my daughter finishes the HSC this year, and
so it's year 12 for those not in Australia, right?
Yeah. And my son's currently living away from home, and I would like to be around for him more for the next 2 years, which probably means moving to that rural area where he is and walking away from my fairly comfortable job, convenient job, It's pretty rare to be an on-site piano teacher in a school for 4 days full time. Yeah. So yeah, I would be going into an environment that I know the town, but I'd be starting almost from scratch. And that was another reason why I wanted to do the course, because I felt like I wanted to future-proof myself so that I knew that I could set up something viable wherever I was. And, I'm also at that age where my parents are aging and are going to need more care. And I just needed to know that I had the flexibility to set up something viable, whatever my family circumstances were.
Let's talk about the broader impact now. Where do you think you'd be right now if you hadn't joined the transformation program?
Look, I'd be plodding along. I would probably be very stressed with the amount of admin I was doing. I would be I'd be really stressed about what to do with my senior students, because I would feel like I wasn't good enough to be working with kids at that level. And because I'm in a school, I can't say to them, no, I'm not going to teach you, or no, I don't think I'm...
Yeah, you can't hand them to someone else.
I have to teach them. So I have to make it work. Whoever wants lessons and signs up through the school, I'm it. There would have been a lot of stress in that. And I think my stress levels in terms of those trickier conversations with parents, I have lovely parents of my students, but just, there's always, like you said, there are always times when your educational goals are different or they view things differently. And that can be quite stressful again, because I don't have the option of saying to them, maybe I'm not the right person for your child.
Right.
They've made the decision they want their child to learn at school, and I'm it. So I have to make it work. So I think, like I said, I'd be plodding along, but I'd be pretty stressed and a lot more time poor as well.
What sets this program apart from other music education or business programs that you might have come across?
Well, the fact that it's all of them together. So it's music and it's music education and it's business, because I don't think there's many that do all three. The fact that the convenience of it being online and across the world. So you get that incredible richness of working with people, like you said, from different cultures and who have, used different repertoire and have different performing arts cultures in their town and whatever. That in itself was a really rich learning part of the journey. I think 12 weeks it's a really good length. It's long enough to sink your teeth into it and feel like you've learnt a lot of stuff, but you're not giving up a whole year. So I feel like it gave me time to learn what I needed to learn, take away resources for stuff that I wanted to explore further, and then just get on with putting it into practice. It's run by people that are all practicing piano teachers. They're not administrators sitting in an office somewhere. And I really appreciated the choice element that we had in the portfolio. I don't know what other courses require of you at the end, but I loved that in our portfolio, yes, you had to tick off the required areas, but within those areas you could choose, are you designing a program for a 7-year-old beginner, or are you designing a program for a teenager that only wants to play pop music, or for an adult that's returning? So I know that in my cohort alone, we all designed for different people because they were the people that we needed it for. And the business side of things too, like you chose what you needed. I needed a website and a studio policy. So that's what I did.
Yeah. So you didn't have to spend time working on something that was completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
You could make it really relevant, useful right now for you in your studio. Yeah. And we should, I guess, mention that the portfolio that you've mentioned as well is part of becoming Top Music Certified. So it is actually an optional part of the 12-week studio transformation. If you would like to become certified, then everything in the 12 weeks covers everything you need to know, and you just need to submit your portfolio at the end, which you get a number of months to, and continued support to create if you want to. And that's how you become Top Music Certified. So really useful. And I think most of the teachers who go through the program do get their certification as well. So as we start to wrap things up, Jill, who would you recommend the program for, and maybe even who would not be right for it?
I think anyone that is wanting to learn and grow their studio, they're going to gain a lot from this program if they go into it with an open mind and a willingness to learn and to participate and ask questions and to be vulnerable and to throw yourself in and, do the activities. People, I was actually, I have to say, I was a bit scared by the term of grow your studio, because I thought, I'm about 30, maybe about 35. I don't want to be inundated with people on my Google business profile. I don't want a waiting list of 20 people because I can't handle it. But I've since learned that growing your studio might just mean that, you give a richer experience to the students that you currently have, or you learn how to run a holiday program so that you have some income over the long holiday break, or you learn how to run buddy lessons, or you just get better at the admin so your work-life balance is better. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have 2 students and you want 20. It's just you want it to get better somehow.
And what would you say to a teacher thinking, that's great for Jill, but, I've been teaching for 30 years, or I don't have any students, or I'm too busy, or my situation's different?
Yeah. It's totally, this program is not a one size fits all. And I was so appreciative of that all the way through. Yes, you go through the material, but at every single point, it's like, how is this relevant to you? How could you use this? If it's not relevant to you now, great, just put it on the back burner. have it there for later. And we were all from very different, as I said, different towns and different life experiences and different stages of our career. And we all got what we needed to out of, I know in my cohort, everyone finished it feeling like they'd got what they needed to, even though they were quite different things.
And is there anything else that you'd like to add or share about the experience that we haven't already covered?
I'm just going to repeat the wise words of one of my lovely facilitators. Actually, they both said it, both Beck and Donna, but it was that idea of just change one thing, because there were points at the start where I felt overwhelmed, not by the program, but just by the amount of just the sheer number of resources that was suddenly in my world.
Yeah.
And knowing where to go next. And they just constantly reminded us, pick one thing that resonates now, one thing that can make a lesson better for a child tomorrow or easier for you, and just try that. And it's just sort of taking that first step. And then if it works, run with it. If it doesn't, then try another thing. So that was massive for me, because it just helped the transformation to sort of happen organically rather than, an explosion.
Well, I might riff on that idea for my last question and ask you if you could keep only one thing that you learnt over the 12 weeks, what would it be?
Apart from change one thing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Oh, that's so hard because there's so many. This sounds okay. I'm going to say one that sounds boring and one that's more exciting. So the one that sounds boring is the studio policy, because I'm a people pleaser, and I think a lot of music teachers are people pleasers. And I had always struggled and felt a certain amount of guilt with, I should be doing a makeup lesson and I should be doing this. And I would run myself ragged trying to keep all my families happy. And the studio policy has been life-changing for that. I feel like I'm a professional and this is my job and this is what I'm worth. And these conditions are completely valid because that's how other businesses work as well. Like it's not unusual. I guess creatively, the whole world of rote repertoire has really turned things around for me, and seeing that as a valid part of learning.
Yeah. What once was almost,
frowned upon,
yeah, has now got a real body of knowledge behind it and research into how effective it can be as part of a learning journey for students. So I'm really pleased that that's become part of your experience now. Well, look, Jill, huge congratulations for all you've achieved. Thank you so much for coming along to Top Music Live. Thank you very much for being such a valued participant in the 12-week studio transformation program. Every time I talk to Beck and Donna, they were like, "Oh, you got to chat to Jill. You got to see what she's up to. She's doing it." Yes, asking lots of questions, but that's because you were so engaged, and that really meant that you're able to get so much out of it. So, huge congratulations to you. I can't wait to see what the next year holds as we continue to support you through Top Music Pro membership.
I know. It's exciting. It's so exciting.
And we'll hopefully see you in September next year at Top Music Live again. Thank you so much, Jill. I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Okay. Thank you for running the course and creating it, because, if anyone's sitting on the fence, look into it seriously. It was awesome.
Brilliant.
Okay. Thanks,
That's
Tim.
it. We'll cut it off there. Thanks so much, Jill. I know you got to go. So, really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much. All right. See ya. Well, I hope you enjoyed my chat with Jill King. As I mentioned right at the top of the show, if any of the ideas that she's mentioned, the changes she's made, the resources she just discussed has made you go, I need to know more about that, or wow, I really need to change that, or how does that even work? Then I would love for you to come and find out about our next 12-week studio transformation program. If you'd like more information, head over to topmusic.co/12WST. That page gives you all the information about what you'll get and how it works and the kind of change that you can experience. You can see testimonials from our past graduates. You can watch videos of our past graduates talking about the experience. And if you would like to apply for our next cohort, applications are now open. And the button in order to access the application is on that page. It doesn't take too long, and it'll hopefully give you some ideas about whether this is going to be right for you. The process after that is, depending on how the application goes, you'll have a conversation with me. Over the phone, we'll have a chat about how this fits, what your goals are, and I just want to make sure, of course, that a program like this is going to be exactly what you need and that we can help you achieve the goals that you have. So we'll have that phone conversation and then we proceed to get you into the cohort. So that's how it all works. I can't wait to have some of those conversations with you. I know people listening right now are probably thinking, I reckon it's probably about time I did this. And oftentimes I speak to teachers who have been putting this off and putting this off and putting everybody in front of them, their children, their family, their spouse, their students, everyone first. And finally, it's time to put yourself first, give yourself this opportunity to grow. And I know, as Jill has, you will never look back and worry or think about it. You will just look forward to the future and all the changes you've made and be able to enjoy that lifestyle that you've been able to build for yourself. So come and find out more, topmusic.co/12WST. That's short for 12-week studio transformation, 12WST. We'll put the link in the show notes. You'll also be able to find the link over on our socials. And if you've got any questions, of course, shoot us through an email, support@topmusic.co. That's it for the show this week. I look forward to catching up with you again this time next week. Bye, everyone. How do you keep up to date with all the latest trends and research into music education? How do you connect with other teachers around the world and make sure your teaching stays fresh and relevant for students of all ages and stages, both now and into the future? I created our Top Music Pro membership to be the one-stop shop for music teaching resources, training, support, and community, and I'd love for you to come and join us inside. With over 40 comprehensive training courses, hundreds of teaching demonstrations and lesson plans, free monthly sheet music, discounts, and all the business and pedagogy support you could ever need, Top Music Pro is the community you've been looking for. If you're ready to level up your learning from the podcast and join thousands of other teachers in our global network, head over to topmusicpro.com today. If you enjoy this show and want to hear more of our work, be sure to subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening today. For links and resources mentioned in this episode, visit us at topmusic.co/podcast or check out the show notes. I'm Tim Topham. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy your week ahead, and I'll catch you next time.